Tonight on American Perspectives, 3 events from this week in the nation's capital. In a few moments, the radio-TV Correspondents' dinner with President Bush and comedian A.J. Jamal. Then the Congressional Gold Medal ceremony for civil rights activist Dorothy Height. And later, former President Bill Clinton's remarks from the Democratic Unity Dinner. Now to the annual Correspondents' Dinner, which happened Wednesday night at the Washington, D.C. Hilton.
Salute to Congress. Thank you. Thank you very much. You may not know it, but you are apparently part of another record-setting number of guests at this event. However, the Congressional Budget Office has already begun to issue an estimate on the size of the crowd, and there will be, in all likelihood, disagreement on the numbers. If you will, please, we would like to have your attention now. Fill your glasses. One of the long-standing traditions of the association is to toast our honored guests, the President and a host of members of Congress. Please now, if you will, stand and join me and the Executive Committee in that tradition. To the President and the members of the 108th Congress. Thank you. Please be seated. All right. Now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our head table. Please hold your applause until I finish calling everyone's name. I will begin from my far left, your right. Tina Tate, Director of the House Radio and TV Gallery. Kevin Kellums, Press Secretary to the Vice President. Gordon Jondro, Press Secretary to the First Lady. John Feary, Press Secretary to the Speaker of the House. Richard Tillery, the Washington Bureau. Congressman Roy Blunt, Majority Whip of the House of Representatives. Scott McClellan, Press Secretary to the President of the United States. Mike Vaquera, NBC News. Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, House Democratic Leader. Tom Cole of Tribune Broadcasting. Senator Mitch McConnell, Majority Whip of the United States Senate. Dave McConnell, not his brother, WTOP Radio. Now, from my far right, your left, Larry Janzik, Director of the Senate Radio and TV Gallery. Bob Stevenson, Press Secretary to the Majority Leader of the Senate. Tom Seam of CBS News. Mr. A.J. Jamal, our entertainer for the evening. Andrea Seabrook, National Public Radio. Congressman Steny Hoyer, Minority Whip of the House of Representatives. Ellen Schwager of C-SPAN. Congressman Tom DeLay, Majority Leader of the House of Representatives. Jerry Bodlander, Associated Press Radio. President George W. Bush. Please join me in a round of applause for our head table guests. As some of you remember, last year the association created the David Bloom Award for Enterprise Reporting to honor our fallen colleague and a former member of the association who died last year while covering the war in Iraq. Here to present the first David Bloom Award are Melanie Bloom and Tim Russert of NBC News.
Good evening. David Bloom died 1 year ago in Iraq, and we miss him so. David always got it done. He owned every story he covered. People wanted to confide in David. They trusted him. They respected him. They liked him. He was authentic, and that is why he captured the heart of America with his reporting and his signature Bloommobile. His coverage of the war was not about him. It was about our soldiers and their race across the desert to Baghdad. His time came to shine, and then all too suddenly, he found the innocence and serenity of eternal life. When these words are sung, they speak of David. His hope gave us hope. His strength gave us strength. His faith gave us faith. I always called him the Bloomster, a tightly bound kinetic combination of energy, charm, desire, and dedication. He would always say that was his second favorite name. His first was Dad. Whenever he mentioned his 3 little girls, that boyish smile would just fill his face. His eyes would sparkle. And so, too, when he spoke of his family. His mom, Laura, his dad, Harold, his brothers, Jim and John, his sister-in-law, Barbara, are all with us tonight, and we welcome them. And here to present the first annual David Bloom Award for Excellence in Enterprise Reporting is David's great love and life partner, a strong, elegant lady, Mrs. Melanie Bloom.
Thank you. On behalf of the entire Bloom family, I just want to say thank you. The establishment of this award means David's life's work, his enthusiasm, his dedication, his vision, his energy, his passion, and ultimately his sacrifice will be forever remembered by the very people he so admired and respected, and by the very profession he was so proud to claim as his own. Tim, you spoke so perfectly to David's professionalism and contribution to journalism. I really cannot add to your remarks. However, as his wife, I can let David's words speak about his dedication to our children, to me, to his country, and to his life's noble calling, journalism. In one of the many emails home from the desert, in response to an email from his daughters, David wrote 1 year ago in March 2003, "Dear Chrissy, Nick, and Ava, in answer to your questions about the war, girls, yes, it does scare me to think about our country going to war and my being in the middle of it. The key is to use that natural fear that you have and should have to keep you safe, to be careful, to not do anything too dangerous. But just so you know, while I am a little bit afraid, I am also determined to do a good job and to make sure the American people know that the men and women who will be fighting this war are very brave and are trying to help the people of Iraq. You asked me, do I want to be here or do I have to be here? I want to be here, and here's why. I am a very good journalist. And the stories I do about what's going on here will help people watching on their TV sets back home better understand what is really going on here. That's my job. It's very important that reporters who do their job well and take their responsibilities seriously are here. That's why I'm here. That's one of the hardest things about my job right now. It takes me away from the 3 of you and from your mom far more than I would like. But sometimes when our country is at war or close to war, as we are right now, we all have to make sacrifices, even you. Your sacrifice is that your dad is not around. But just remember, sweethearts, There are lots of other boys and girls whose mommies and daddies are over here getting ready to fight for their country, risking their lives because that is their job and because they believe it is the right thing to do. So when you're missing me, as I am missing you, remember to say a prayer for all those other boys and girls who are missing their mommies and daddies too. And yes, my dear sweet girls, when I'm a little bit scared, I promise you I will remember you and your mom, and I will know in my heart just how much you love me. To the moon and back, right? Love, Daddy. Hanging on the wall of David's office at 30 Rock, typed and enlarged and thumbtacked right into the wall where he could keep it in sight, was the following quote. When asked once why he gave it his all in every game, Joe DiMaggio replied, "Because there might be somebody out there who's never seen me play before." David approached every one of his reports as if it might be the first time someone would see that story. It is a great and tragic loss to all of us, that we will never again watch him play. However, David's spirit will live on as we gather together each year for the presentation of this award. I am very proud to announce that the recipient of the first annual David Bloom Award for Excellence in Enterprise Reporting is ABC News Nightline for their program on The Plan, an in-depth examination of the Project for a New American Century's influence in support of the war on Iraq. Accepting the award for Nightline is executive producer Tom Beteg.
This is very, very special to all of us for a lot of reasons. One of the nicest is that all of you know and love Jackie Judd, and this is one of the very last pieces that she did for ABC News before going off to the Kaiser Foundation. So it's very special in that way. It is also special because the two producers for this broadcast are two mothers who work a job share because they want to take care of their families and do great journalism. So Lisa Koenig and Robin Gradison were the producers on this and deserve great credit. But my great regret is both Ted Koppel and Leroy Sievers are on vacation and not here to accept this, and Ted and Leroy were embedded with David Bloom, and to have Nightline have something named for somebody whom in that time they grew very close together because embedded people were very close together, and their respect, their admiration for David was extraordinary. He set a standard that they tried to live up to right to the end of their time in Baghdad, and that everyone at Nightline will try to live up to. We thank you very much.
Now, a lasting tradition of the Radio Television Correspondents' Dinner has been the presentation of the Joan Shorenstein Barone Award. This award is given for excellence in national affairs and public policy reporting. Here to present the Barone Award is Bob Schieffer of CBS News.
I'd just like to say first to Melanie Bloom, I hope your daughters will always know that his colleagues, thought Dan Bloom was not just a great reporter, but a great guy, and we'll remember him for as long as people talk about journalism and reporting. He's a great person. I'm honored to present this next award because it is named for my friend and longtime colleague, Joan Shorenstein Barone. Joan was the epitome of what a reporter ought to be. She loved the news, had an insatiable curiosity, and was determined to track down the story wherever and whatever it was. At the age of 38, Joan succumbed to cancer, but she lives in our memory, and this award is named for all the things that meant so much to her in journalism. It was established to honor excellence in Washington-based national affairs, public policy broadcasting. There are 2 awards this year the judges have decided, one for a single broadcast and the other for a body of work. The award for a single broadcast goes tonight to the NewsHour with Jim Lehrer. This was the broadcast of June 28, 2003, before the State of the Union, entitled Crisis and Conflict, the 108th Congress. The broadcast examined the role of Congress in foreign policy, health care, and the economy. The judges called it an excellent example of public policy broadcasting. Sharing in the award are producers James Tringrove, Scott Bronstein, Murray Jacobson, Greg Ramshaw, Carol Blakesley-Collin, Brian Gottlieb, Linda Scott, and executive producer Les Crystal. Accepting the award, Les Crystal and his team.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Jim Lehrer and all the staff of the NewsHour, we're very, very honored and proud to receive this very important award, one that's really treasured. And as for those of you who watch the NewsHour, you know we cover Congress a lot throughout the year. It's one of our main missions, and it's very nice to be honored. And I would like to say, as you know, when you're, or may not know, when you're executive producer, you get to have your name stamped on the work that a lot of people do. And get credit for it. But I would, we've had quite a wonderful group that put this program together. I would like to introduce the producer of the program, Jim Tringrove, who with his group did so much to make it so successful.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank PBS for recognizing the importance of dedicating an hour to covering the Congress and looking at the year ahead in their primetime schedule. I want to thank Les Crystal and Linda Winslow for clearing the time and the bodies so we could do this special and together with our day job. I want to thank our Capitol Hill unit, Kwame Holman, Linda Scott, Brian Gottlieb, and Molly Farrell for their daily work covering the Congress. And finally, I want to thank Jim Lehrer for letting us do what we love to do every day, and he loves it too. I hope he keeps loving it. Thank you.
The second award this year goes to a body of work for a series of reports. It included a preview of the Shock and Awe campaign, what was going on right and wrong in the war, questionable intelligence, and especially moving stories on wounded soldiers coming home. And for that award, it goes to CBS News national security correspondent David Martin and producers Mary Walsh and Mark Katkoff. Accepting the award will be David Martin and Mary Walsh.
Mr. President, in case you ever wonder who was the better Secretary of Defense, Cheney or Rumsfeld, I covered them both in time of war. And let me just say for the record, I never won a thing when Cheney was Secretary of Defense. The biggest change from covering Cheney to covering Rumsfeld is this lady right here. Mary and I started working together at the beginning of the Clinton administration, and by the time this administration came along, we finally had our act together. I doubt, Mr. President, that all the stories that we submitted for this award would be on your short list of favorites. But there is one story which I think you and everybody here would appreciate. We went down to Brooke Army Hospital, and we met San Antonio, Texas. We met a young soldier who had been very badly burned when his Humvee ran over an anti-tank mine. And when you first met him, it was tough looking at him. But the more you talked to him, the more his personality came through, and the less you noticed his scars. And finally, I asked him, "Do you still want to meet girls?" And his eyes lit up, and he said, yeah, I'm still the same guy inside. Well, when I came to work the next morning, after the broadcast had aired, I was told that the CBS switchboard had gotten calls from a number of young women asking how to contact this soldier. So we're going to go back there this summer and see if anything came of that. We met another soldier who had been driving a 5,000-gallon fuel truck. And the truck had been ambushed and hit by an RPG, and all 5,000 gallons had gone up. And that kid stayed with his truck because he knew if he didn't get it off the road, all the vehicles in the convoy behind him would be trapped in the ambush. And by the time he got that truck off the road and he got out of the truck, all the fingers on his right hand had been burned off. And I asked him what he was going to do when he got out. And he said, well, he wanted to be a truck driver, but he was worried about whether anybody would hire a guy with no fingers on his right hand. Well, the last I heard, viewers of that program had made 4 separate job offers to that soldier. So that's the power of the press. You put the information out there, and people do the right thing. And that's all Mary and I do, is we just put the information out there. And we are both very, very honored to receive this award in Joan's name. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to all of the winners. I would also like to thank this year's judges who serve for both the Barone and Bloom Awards for dedicating their time and their energy. Lou Ketchum of C-SPAN, Tom Cole of Tribune Broadcasting, and the always reliable Dave McConnell of WTOP Radio. Thanks to the judges for their hard work. I'd also like to take a moment to welcome Joan's father, Walter Shorenstein. He's sitting right in front here. We are very pleased that you could join us this evening. And with that, it is now my pleasure and honor to introduce the President of the United States, George W. Bush.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Our pleasure.
Finally.
And thank you for honoring David Bloom. It's a fantastic speech you gave for a man you loved. I am sorry Lardon couldn't be here. And I'm sorry Secretary Rumsfeld's not here either. The guy constantly surprises me. Do you know what Rummy's favorite TV show is? Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. My cabinet could take some pointers from watching that show. In fact, I'm going to have the Fab Five do a makeover on Ashcroft. Anyway, it's nice to be with you. A couple of years ago when I was here, I read from my book of misarticulations. Fortunately, my verbal phonation and electrocution have improved. So tonight I'm going to do one of my slideshows. These are actual unstaged photos pulled from the files of the White House photo office. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present a White House election year album. As you know, the contest with my opponent is going to be a slugfest. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready. I'm psyching myself up for the fight. I knew it was going to be a tough campaign when Karl Rove started dressing like this. And this is Condi Rice, of course. Here I am trying to explain John Kerry's foreign policy. I have to admit, it really ticked me off when Democrats questioned my National Guard service in Alabama. Here's a photo proving that I was in Alabama fulfilling my duties. Political campaigns always have their unexpected moments. This next photo is when I heard that Senator McCain said he was considering being Kerry's running mate. The next one was taken a couple of months ago. I'd just gotten word that Howard Dean had lost Iowa. In addition to campaign calls, I also spend a lot of time on the phone listening to our European allies. The conversation went like this. Hey, John, Kim Jong-il here. Just wanted to call and let you know you're my guy. Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere. As you can tell from the look on Andy Card's face, we've become a little concerned about the vice president lately. Whenever you ask him a question, he replies, "Let's see what my little friend says." But we get along well. Here I am saying, Dick, if the Hunan Palace doesn't get lunch here in 4 minutes, we're going out. Nope, no weapons over there. Maybe under here. Oops, this photo wasn't supposed to be in here. This is the Skull and Bone secret signal. I'm not paranoid, but it was at this point in my presidency that I had a strange feeling somebody was following me. One thing about being president is you get lots of advice. Yes, Mother. Yes, Mother. Mother, would you just listen to us for once? I like this next picture a lot. It's hard to get Rumsfeld to laugh, but when he does, boy, it is worth it. This photo was taken down at the ranch, and as you can tell, Barney's not very happy with me. This is the day I told him he'd been neutered. And this is the day that Barney got his revenge. Now on long flights, the staff and I often play cards. The key to playing poker is keeping a straight face and never letting your opponent know what you're thinking. Actually, this is on the way to the G8 summit. Once I got these trading cards, it's easy to remember the names of the foreign leaders. All presidents have dreams and aspirations of what their legacy will be. Here they are measuring me for Mount Rushmore. But I do have a few serious photos to show you in closing. It's photos like these that mean the most to me. Some of our special forces sent me this last picture. The faces are blurred in this slide because they remain in harm's way. The photo hangs in my private study next to the Oval Office. To honor those who died on September the 11th and to make a statement of their own commitment to this country's security, these Americans buried a piece of the World Trade Center in a place in Afghanistan where the Al-Qaeda once ran free. They wrote that they held a ceremony which was far more emotional than they had expected. The team leader wrote a prayer and a dedication. Let me read you one sentence from that dedication. We consecrate this spot as an everlasting memorial to the brave Americans who died on September the 11th, so that all who would seek to do her harm will know that America will not stand by and watch terror prevail. We will not stand by. The greatest honor of being president is leading such men and women. We have the freedom we enjoy tonight because they protect that freedom. And may God protect them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. President Bush, for your remarks and for being with us this evening. And now it is my privilege to introduce our entertainer for